The trial for Sean Diddy Combs' federal sex trafficking and racketeering case is set to resume next Tuesday after it wrapped up early Thursday afternoon. Before the jury was dismissed, the judge ordered them to avoid talking about the case over the Memorial Day weekend. 4 witnesses testified Thursday. We want to warn you, some may find the details of this report disturbing. Rapper Kid Cudi, whose real name is Mescudi, took the stand to talk about his brief relationship with Cassie Ventura in 2011. Mescudi addressed a series of events that followed, including a break-in at his house and his Porsche being set on fire. The rapper told the court he never received confirmation from police about Combs' potential involvement in either incident. Ventura testified last week that Combs had threatened to blow up Mescudi's car. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. CBS News national correspondent Jericka Duncan has been in court every day and now has the latest for us. So this blowing up of the car, I remember this being big news when her lawsuit was filed.
Right, because people couldn't believe it.
Right, it seemed so outlandish. Why is that important to this case?
Because it shows the government's position that Combs used violence for his criminal enterprise. Obviously, we're talking about sex trafficking, too, but that, again, becomes part of the element of this bigger crime that the government claims he is guilty of. I want to say Combs has pleaded not guilty to all of these charges, hence why we have this trial. But the defense really did a good job of asking Kid Cudi, as we know him, did you ever find out, who broke into your home or who did the Molotov cocktail on the car? And the reality of it is there were no witnesses, there was no video, there's no forensic evidence that connects that connects Combs to the Molotov cocktail.
His cameras were off and pointed in different directions, right?
And he noted that that was something that he thought was different from, I guess, the last time that he had looked at the cameras. And he said the cameras were not working. So there's two sort of instances where there's this alleged violence that's taking place and that Cudi thought it was Combs. The first one was a break-in into his home in 2011 after Ventura called him crying and upset because Combs had found out about the relationship between Ventura and Cudi. And he said when he went home, his dog was locked in a room. There were presents that were unwrapped. And he thought that it was Combs that did it sort of to send a message. And then about a month later in January, it's this Molotov cocktail that we've heard about in the car. But again, there's nothing to directly connect Combs to the break-in or to the Molotov cocktail in the Porsche.
I know that you were very keen on some of the body language and some of the looks between Ventura and Combs when she was testifying. Did you notice anything between Combs and Mescudi?
I think he looked very relaxed when he came in there to testify. He answered the questions. There were moments where he sort of had people in the courtroom chuckling or laughing, specifically when he talked about how he arranged a meeting with Combs to talk about the end of the relationship with Cassie Ventura. They met at the Soho House in Los Angeles, and he said that when he walked into the room, Combs was standing looking outside the window with his hands behind his back as though he was a Marvel supervillain. And people started chuckling because what a description. But you can almost kind of picture something like that happening. And it was interesting because they meant to basically say, listen, Cassie Ventura's with me. He understood that. They sort of had their one-on-one conversation. Cudi described it as being weird because it was so calm. They shook on it, and he did say at that moment, he asked him, what about my car? And that Combs said to him, what are you talking about? But then 2 years later, he said they did meet up, and he apologized for, quote, everything. But he didn't say specifically what he was apologizing for. A lot going on. I tell you, there's so much to cover. I'm so glad I'm able to come in and talk to you about it.
Let's plug your podcast.
Oh, yes, I will be having a weekly podcast. I Am That Reporter. So we're going to break down all of the sort of ins and outs of this trial and the things that we don't ever have time to really talk about in 4 minutes.
Subscribe and listen often. Jericka Duncan, thanks so much.
Thank you.